Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we have a very special guest, none other than my wife and the real owner of the business, Sarah. Obviously, we're just back from Ibiza, and it would make sense for us to debrief to you what the events look like. And when we were in Ibiza, Chaz kept saying, "Oh, you and Sarah should sit down and talk about how you met, and then the whole experience of running a business together." And we were going to start at the beginning, but actually I think just with the nature of us just being home, it makes sense to start now and work backwards to when we met over a series of episodes, I suppose. So I'd love to tell you we're recovered and we've chilled out from Ibiza. We've been back for almost exactly a week, and we unpacked, well, you unpacked when we got home, but I unpacked last night, and all the kit was lying in the house until last night. So what better time to just get the thoughts out? Now, Ibiza was, do you know what number of event it was or not?
No, 10?
Event number 10 that we've run up until now, which is great. And we had 50 something coaches in the room, which is good. So 10 events in, the 10th one with 50 clients there. How many events we did before you got involved? Well, I did one anyway. Let's start there and work back to Ibiza. How about that?
What, start the first event?
Talk about events. Because, I mean, Leeds was the very first one.
Yeah, I was present at Leeds, so the guys that were in, they'll see from the get-go, will remember me being there, but probably, didn't appreciate how little I had to do with Leeds. That was all on you.
Yeah, I mean, you sat at the side, helped, but you didn't really know how to get
Ran
involved.
away any opportunity because I don't particularly love being in a room full of, at that time, strangers. I wasn't fully in the business yet.
No one
so didn't know anybody.
really.
So I remember, at any breaks, I'd be like, I need to go to the toilet just to get away.
I think, ironically, Leeds was one of our biggest events ever in terms of attendees. And now Leeds was probably 4 years ago, something like that. And I organised that whole thing by myself. And honestly, to this day, Sarah and I still laugh about, how the fuck did I pull that off? I don't even know. But there was a lot of blood, sweat and tears that went into that. And then, obviously, I ran that, you came and helped, and that was great. But I can't tell you how much the emotional toll that took on me to get that done. So obviously we got that done. You came and helped, and then when you came into your role, we made your role more events and ops because, well, can you remember? I can remember clearly, but I'd like you to remember if you can. What was the problem with the role in the first place? What were you missing? You told me a very clear word.
I think purpose was...
That was the exact word I was looking for.
Yeah, I think we'll go into this in another episode of kind of where I came from in terms of my previous career. I left that and came to work with Matt in the OC, and I just felt like I was doing the little odd jobs and didn't feel like I was really bringing I knew I was bringing value, but not value that was unique to me, that not just any Tom, Dick or Harry could come in and do the admin tasks. So then when it came to the event side, I'm not very good at blowing my own trumpet, but one thing I would say I'm pretty good at is being organised.
I would agree.
So I was like, oh, this is something that I can actually excel at from the event point of view. So that's, I think, where the role kind of started, playing to my strengths that I had.
No question. I mean, your role started as you didn't like your job. And we can talk about that in a few other episode. But then you came in and you did more admin style stuff, and that was fine. But like you said to me, I don't feel like there's as much purpose in my day-to-day in my life that I'm used to having. So then we made you events and ops, and the events have got much better. But I mean, I suppose since the first Leeds event, how do you think your role has evolved in the business?
I think where Matt is very good at the systems and strategies, sometimes he can overlook or not prioritize maybe the human element in that, how do people feel coming to the events, because Matt is someone that's just very confident to walk into a room full of strangers and just be fully accepting of that's who he is, fine, doesn't really overthink it. I come from the other side of the spectrum where I can feel quite nervous going into those environments to a point that maybe I would not want to go or not feel comfortable going. So I think I bring a slightly different perspective in just thinking about how people or the coaches feel coming to the events.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think I build event stuff and I did leads for me. I assume I'm the only person that's going to be there. So I optimize for just it's 50, 100 me's. And then you look at it and I've optimized for like how much input can I jam into this agenda. And then you look at it from an emotional, community, energetic, almost like belonging standpoint, I would say. So I think that helps a lot. And I think like looking back at Leeds, if we're both honest with each other, it was the worst event we've ever run, which it should be for being the first one. But it was the worst event for many reasons. It was a good event, by the way, but it was, the inputs were jammed. It was like wall to fucking wall, or sit down, take notes, and everyone was absolutely, you could see it. Mid-afternoon.
And I think there comes a point that like all that value is great, but it's absolutely useless if no one can retain any of it and you leave feeling like your head's going to fall off. Yeah. So I think Matt can sometimes be guilty of, because he knows his subject matter inside and out, he doesn't understand the complexity of trying to like take that in. And so because I'm not a qualified coach, I've never been a coach, so I'm looking at it with a bit of like a fresh pair of eyes and think, this is a lot, Matt, this is a lot to take in. So I think it's my role a lot of the time is just to slow Matt down to make the information that he gives on the day land as best as possible, as well as the community belonging.
Yeah, I think today's a good example of that. It's like, you know, I got up, went to the gym really early, came back, rapidly got Nixon ready for school, got in the car, did the school run, came home, had a meeting with Chaz, cleared my messages. Now we're doing an episode here in the time that we have before I have a call. Then I've got a call. Then I'm going to have a rapid lunch. And I assume everyone else operates like that, but they don't. So I think for you, one of the biggest things that really changed was, whilst I think we had a decent community of the OGs at the time of Leeds, like the people that founded it, the founding group, gelled well as a founding group. But beyond that, if I'm honest, I don't think the community would have grown in the depth it has. I'm sure the numbers would have grown, but I don't think the depth of connection those people have would have grown without your help. And I think Ibiza's a good example of that, in terms of, I sat down, I don't know if I've said this on camera yet, certainly said it to people. I sat down with Saz and Chaz, a week before Ibiza, and showed you guys the final agenda, which I'd been working on for weeks. And you guys were like, nah. So you ripped that new one. And so I think for you, my input is that you've really fixed the community element and the belonging. I feel like you're the kind of the mother figure.
But why? Like, I'm curious, because we maybe should have had this debrief off camera. Why?
That's why it's good. It's better like this. This is real, unfiltered, no idea what's about to come out.
Why specifically do you think the community's got better because of me?
I think people see you as a very different, rightly so, character to me. I think a lot, if I'm honest, I think one of my shortcomings, among many, are that I don't know if people feel that I'm that approachable I think they know I'm approachable once they've been in long enough, but at the start, like, I don't want to bother them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for you, you're
so fast paced. You don't want to. People are very conscious to not interrupt that. And I think they appreciate how busy you are. And it's even like, so we got our house renovated last year, and we got really close to the builders that were working on the house. And Matt was away one day, and I was like, oh, so how have you found working with Matt? Because his standards are so high. And he said, like, when we first met him, I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking petrified of him because you're so intimidating. So I hear what you're saying. I think the people that know you're not intimidating and you are very approachable.
I would contend, I think I choose to be intimidating where I can be sometimes, but I'm 5'7", mate. So I think it's maybe intense. The intensity with which I go through my days, I think, comes across intimidating. And maybe you disagree, but I think it's that. And I think you bring a much softer, like when you speak to clients, I watch those interactions. I'm incredibly proud of them. Like you'll say to me when I've spoken to client X, how's his wife? Where are they going on holiday? I don't fucking know. Like, I know his numbers, I know his churn rate. And then you have that much more, I think it's a classic feminine archetype to things. And I know the community is better for it. So I think like that's why you bring so much value to the space. And I think also when you look at the agendas, et cetera, you also consider it from an actual real human being, not a robot. And then I think like the part that people get wrong when they look at this from the outside, in my opinion, is, we've discussed this off camera and we can kind of dance around this without being rude. But I think people look at what we have in terms of working together and assume that A, it's what you should do, and B, that it's easy. But we live together, work together, occasionally train together, run together. And then when like I say this to Chaz, like, we'll go for a run. What do we talk about?
Work.
Okay, and then we walk the dog. What do we talk about?
Work. It is actually, I think people will be surprised that they think because Matt started the OC and that I kind of came in at a later date, that it would be Matt that would be wanted to speak about work all the time, and actually it's me that doesn't have
I have
great
to ask you
boundaries.
not to. Yeah, like I think it was one night. Do you remember the night we were lying in bed? Hoi, hoi. And I think the penny dropped for you. Do you know what I'm talking about? We're lying in bed. We're talking about work in the dark. It was like 11 o'clock, and we're both staring at the ceiling talking about work. And you were like, "I get it now," or something like that. And I said to you, it's like being mentally unwell running a business. It just consumes you if you really want, if you allow it to. And like, I think this is where we've said before that we know that we live a weird lifestyle. I won't apply should to anyone else. I don't think anyone else should. In fact, I think most people shouldn't, if I'm honest. It's definitely challenging to run a business together. The reality of it is, I think, well, we argue like we do, right? But nowhere near as much as I expected that a normal couple could.
Or I think people, you hear argue and you think big blown out like screaming match. I think Matt and I haven't ever really been like that, or at least we've grown to not be.
We've worked hard on
that version of that, but we can have like disagreements. We're not afraid to tell each other when we don't agree with each other, but it doesn't go to a big full nuclear like fucking I'm leaving chat.
I think we just have like clear expectations and we're able to talk about what we expect of each other. Because I mean, remember when you took on graphic design? Yeah, you took it on and you're like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And you were dead proud of it. And I'm like, "Looks like you used your toes on the keyboard in Canva. Like, what the fuck is this?" Like, I'm sure some people would argue I could have been a lot more supportive there, but in that moment, I am your business partner, not your husband. And I think there's a big difference. So for us, I think it's a case of we're very good at playing the two different roles. Actually, I think if I'm honest, I don't think we're as good at playing husband and wife as a lot of people would expect.
Yeah, we play like business partners very well and team very well, which I guess is husband and wife.
I think we're a very good team, and I think the reality of it is this is not for everyone, this life. But if we flip back to Ibiza in terms of it being the most recent event, for me, I mean, I think it's worth saying on camera, like I'm incredibly proud of what you managed to put together, because I arrived and people were like, "What time's this? Where's this? What time? What are we having for lunch?" I don't fucking know. Like in Leeds, I was the guy. And so I'll be honest, one of the things that we haven't really discussed ever as a team, or you and I've worked really hard at being able to delegate, because I can't delegate stuff well. It's not, Ben gave a good reframe here. Might have been Dill. It's not that I'm a control freak. It looks like that. It's that I'm a quality freak. And I think for you, it was class to see. I mean, how does it feel to have Ibiza under your belt?
I think just like go back a step from that, just when you were speaking there, I think people think because you run the business together and obviously the events together, that we're both fully in the loop with like blow by blow of what's happening at the event. And I think we stay in our lanes. That and I think it actually comes to, if we had more time, we would do better at communicating each other's lanes. But at the moment, we like in the run up to Ibiza, we had not a minute. I know that sounds ridiculous when we like live together, work together, but we were both so busy that I do my bit in terms of like planning the venue, the flow, the drinks, the food, the social elements, the inviting the partners, getting all the like that side of things, logistical side of things. And Matt's very much about what's delivered on the day, and he doesn't necessarily know what's happening on the day.
What time's
or
lunch?
Even who's coming. Like you don't even know.
I have to ask you on stage when I'm doing the logistics at the start. What time's break?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for you, you nail it. But I think there's a lot of stress that goes unspoken in the run up to an event. Certainly for me, it's fucking highly stressful.
I think there's a stress that when you're around Matt, you know, his standards are very, very high, and I'm not excluded from that.
No.
So I fall under that. So I think because he gives me such free reign and such ownership of the event side of things, I always want to not only please all the coaches that are being there, but please you as well. So I do think there is a lot of pressure, and I think, to be honest, we've not really had the time to just decompress after Ibiza, because we're just still being like go planning the next event. But I feel proud of myself that I don't need that constant validation in the same way from Matt. I'm happy to not get everything checked by him, because I have confidence now in my own abilities to run a good event. Doesn't mean it's not the same pressure.
I mean, I know you look for that like validation, confirmation, and I know you'd feel contrived seeing it in front of a camera, but I mean, you know, I value already, I think. But I mean, and there's never an event goes by where I'm not like, shout out to Saz. Oh, here's a question. how the fuck do you know how to organize events? Where does that come from? It has to come from somewhere. Like, if you give 100 people an event that size, Ibiza, in another country, in another like language country, and to get that many people there on time, fed, watered, accounted for different like tolerances and intolerances and everything in between, where do you learn that from? I've got an opinion, but I'd love to hear what you think.
I don't think it's where I learned that from because I don't have like a background in event organization. I think it's been very clear on like the mission of the OC and so what the mission of the events are. And for me, it's about, it sounds really, I don't really love this word because I feel like it sounds very forced and contrived, but for me, it's like connection is what I want to get people out of the events. Like, no offense, and I don't mean to dent your ego, but like what you teach on the day is almost like irrelevant in comparison. It's how people feel on the back of it, and the main thing I want them to feel is not alone, and that comes from having time with other coaches. So if I lead with trying to maximize and optimize for the coaches how they feel on the back of an event, then everything else fits into place.
I agree, and I optimize for how many fucking notes and new things. I think if I'm honest, my inner guy wants to impress people at the events, whereas you care less about impressing them and more about connecting with them, making everyone feel seen. Like, you're so fucking good at that, so good. And I think they all. I know they all feel it.
I think it's one thing after Ibiza. I don't feel like it was I wasn't the best at that. I didn't have a chance to have like really. I love just. As I said before, I don't love going into a room full of like 50 people, but on a one-to-one a conversation I love, and I don't feel like I had enough space to do that on this event just because it was so busy. So it wasn't the best for what you're saying, but I think just to add on to that, it's not just about the coaches that are there. I very much like to include the partners and their families, because being the partner and the kind of like the supporter for you before I even worked with the OC, but even now, I appreciate what that does to your relationship and the sacrifices. So I want them to be a part of it as much as I want the coaches to be a part of it.
No, I agree with that, and I think you're really fucking good at that. And I think this all boils down to, it feels like we could get into complimenting ourselves, and I think we're both bad at it, but I will do it. I think we're good at working as a team, and you and I do not speak to each other at events. We had this discussion the other night. Like, I don't even see you.
The whole week in Ibiza, actually, we didn't see each other.
Yeah, it's just like we're like in with the group, and I think, like, you say you don't like love going into a big group of people. I think people assume that I do because of the personality that they see, but you know better than anyone else how much it takes from me. Like, and it's not that I dislike it. It's like I can see in advance what the cost of that will be for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think you had more conversations than me. I certainly had a lot, but I feel like you had a lot of conversations in the room about people feeling seen, understood, part of something.
I think it's more with Matt. I think people come to each of us for like they can highlight the strengths within us. So people come to you for like business, big picture strategy chats, and they come to me for a lot of the time more of like what's going on in their personal life. And this isn't like I'm love to do it, and it's not like I don't mean to be insulting at all for any of the coaches that have come to me. A lot of the time it's for relationship advice.
Which I think is a huge compliment.
Yeah,
because obviously they think that you and I have something worth emulating that they can learn from. Like, you wouldn't go to a skint financial advisor. You wouldn't go to a dentist with junkies' teeth. So clearly they think if they come to you for emotional and relationship advice, I think that's the two categories really they'll come to you for. I think that then that's a huge compliment for you. They see you as having something that they desire.
I think we both recognize that when you're running a business, it's bigger than just a business. It's like all encompassing. And so I think it's not even like forced. I think we just fully get what it's like, and it's hard to find people that really relate to that. And I think the opportunity to just have that chat about how it's affecting your personal life, your relationships, not only just your bank account, is invaluable in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a good example of that's Joe. Shout out to Joe. Joe R. We've got a couple of Joes. Joe Robinson. He's a good example of, he comes to me for the business stuff, he comes to you for the family stuff, he comes to you for the emotional relationship, community stuff, and that's great. And I think, like, from my perspective, Joe, obviously, I did the thank yous to everyone. Joe just announced on top of my thank yous, like from the crowd, gives a big thank you to Matt and the team, despite you've all had a clap. I didn't ask for a clap. I don't go there for claps, and I know you don't either. But
no. I actually asked you not to do, because Matt has this thing where he likes to do a big fucking because he knows how much I hate attention on me, and you make
partly
a
that.
big standing ovation. And
Partly that, but partly because I genuinely do think you deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean that sincerely. Like, did you have any decent chats with Joe or not?
I honestly didn't have much of an opportunity to
Bless him.
I know.
He's such a good guy, but like for him, like if we look at him as an example, I mean, his wife messaged me.
Yeah, and me, just saying like the difference, and I think that's what, when I leave events, people messaging and being like, oh, see the system that Matt dropped, I've got another 5 clients on the back of it, thanks so much. Obviously we fucking love to see that, and that's ultimately number one goal. But for me, if they send a message just more about like how there's been a couple of coaches, and I won't name them, but just saying like on the back of it, they feel so much clearer in the direction of the business. They feel like they've been in such a hole, so overwhelmed. They now feel like they've got a like fire up their arse.
But Joe's a good example of this, like breaking him down, because like when he came to me on the sales call, like we don't think we run sales calls, but whatever that call is, I had a chat with him and he was in a really shit state. His gym closed down. He was in a bad place mentally. I think a lot of the call was personal, and I think I actually stopped him in the call and said, do you mind if I grab a beer? It was like Friday night. He's like, yeah, sure thing. So I put my feet up on the desk, cranked my seat back and had a beer. And he admitted after the call, he's like, the minute you got that beer was the minute I was fully fucking in. But I mean, he's some horrible percentage up business wise now. But I think the
like
big
400% I shouldn't have that.
But the big one I think for Joe is that's an outcome. The money's an outcome.
Yeah.
It's what I think, and I will be the first to say I don't think I'm the big driver in the actual first thing, which is the who he is. I think you've really helped with that a lot. Like I think he loves.
I don't think either of us should take the credit for that. I genuinely think it's the community. Like I know Joe has really leaned in. I think he'd been in the OC for like a matter of weeks.
Yeah,
and came to
six.
summer camp last September, and like from the get-go he was just there to like pick people up from the airport and just got himself really stuck in. So I think we're not to be the credit for like how he feels in himself personally. I do think it's the friendships he's made in the OC and people that he can really relate to, because like I said before, it's really hard, like even with my own like friendships, people that like my friends that have been friends for God nearly however many years, but they're not self-employed, and I feel like I don't know, it's just different.
But I think that's where like it's easy to like make it sound like it's all intentional. I think there was always the intent to make a brand bigger than me or you or both of us, but I think that's where this has got now. It's like the OC is its own thing. It's bigger than me, it's bigger than you, it's bigger than us. And that Joe's a great example of someone that has lent in and has felt the power of it being bigger than us, but also has us to lean on when he needs us. And I think without you, I don't think that would have happened to the same degree. Do you know what I mean?
No, thank you.
You're more than welcome. Okay, I feel like it seems like a sensible place to wrap up. We'll do another one. In a bit, shorter episodes would definitely be better. I just want to say at the end of it, like, thank you, I love you, and I love working with you beyond words. Like, I couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, don't get upset again.
I mean it. Just that's the passion thing that people see and think is intimidating, but you see the other side of it, which is just like, I genuinely could not do this without you. And even if I could, I would now never want to. So I love you. Thank you for being a part.
I'll go without saying I couldn't do it without you.
Shout out to your family.
Shout out to you. Bye, William.
Love you.